The movie opens within a thick African jungle. We are then introduced to two rangers, Winston and his companion, Gabby, who are conducting a monitoring operation. They navigate a narrow watercraft through a river, enveloped by the lush vegetation. Gabby pilots a drone that is surveying the region from above when an unidentified youth suddenly strikes the device, severing the video feed. Gabby is adamant about venturing ashore to recover the equipment, despite Winston's warnings that it is hazardous to leave the river and enter the woods, a place where individuals often vanish. Gabby argues that they cannot litter the wilderness, a point that ultimately sways Winston. She goes into the jungle alone while Winston remains with the boat. Meanwhile, we observe the same young boy, now joined by another man, carrying the ranger's drone. As Gabby penetrates further into the forest, the two men obscure a camera lens with mud. Gabby notices a component from the drone is missing, finding it puzzling that it isn't there as she was certain it had fallen in that spot. She attempts to use her phone but finds no service. While the men set up various snares, Winston goes to inspect the non-functional camera and discovers it has been blinded, which alarms him. The two men appear to possess an intimate knowledge of the secretive forest. They take a fungus and disperse spores into the air. Gabby is now isolated and disoriented. She tries to reach Winston, but the man is no longer in the boat. As she studies her map for direction, something appears to be observing her, and she starts to sense the animosity of the location. When she looks back, the creature has vanished. Gabby begins to hear numerous voices emanating from the trees and decides she should depart the area, unknowingly moving directly toward the men's snare. As she walks, she fails to see a rope on the ground and activates the trap, which impales her foot, causing her to cry out in agony. Gabby rises and uses her radio to call Winston for assistance. While transmitting, something dashes past her, leaving her no option but to attempt an escape. The woman extracts the wooden spike from her foot and continues until she discovers an intense crimson glow radiating from the trees. Winston now searches for his friend from the boat, and the red illumination intensifies so dramatically that day becomes night. Winston chooses to disembark and look for her in the forest. We see Gabby standing directly before that red light. For a moment, she appears entranced. Winston calls for his partner but suddenly hears the same eerie voice that resonates through the jungle and, overwhelmed by terror, loses his footing and falls into the swampy water. The voices persist, and for a brief instant Winston spots something behind a tree and, believing it to be Gabby, pursues it. But we see the woman has discovered the men's hut. She approaches and knocks, inquiring if anyone is present. Receiving no reply, she chooses to enter the dwelling and discovers numerous items. The injured woman decides to use the location to rest and dress her injury. Winston finally escapes the swamp water, but the creature is already close and begins to produce sounds that panic him, causing him to flee in horror. Gabby is asleep in the cabin and is experiencing a bad dream where she regurgitates something, which leaves her perplexed. She abruptly awakens and is startled by the two men. The man swiftly moves toward Gabby and holds a knife to her throat, demanding to know who sent her. Gabby clarifies she was only there to get her drone and accidentally triggered a trap. The man examines the woman's foot and states she destroyed their snare. Returning to Winston, the man is horrified, concealed behind a tree, and tries to persuade himself this isn't real. But to his misfortune, something begins to advance. When he turns to look, he finds a humanoid creature on all fours and without hesitation starts to run. In the cabin, the men decide to assist Gabby and she, curious about their identities, asks for their names. The man introduces himself as Baron and his son Stefan. He asks if she came from the city, but Gabby answers she is from the ranger station. Baron questions how many rangers are stationed there now, and she says only 2. Later, while making dinner, Gabby hears that peculiar noise again and asks the man what it could be. He responds that it is merely an elderly cow. During the meal, father and son recite a somewhat odd prayer and Gabby declines the food. Sarcastically, Baron tells her to savor their supper. We see that Winston is still fleeing from the creature that is chasing him relentlessly. He becomes caught on a branch, which leads to despair and a fall. The monstrosity is directly before him and approaches rapidly. Winston tries to draw his knife but finds he has lost the weapon and chooses to run again as the humanoid creature releases a horrifying scream. Back at the cabin, everyone gets ready to sleep. But Gabby says she saw someone outside who did not appear human, and the two seem to recognize what it is, pausing to listen. Winston is hidden again and doesn't perceive when fungal roots slowly approach until he is assaulted. Back with the trio, Baron prepares a natural treatment for Gabby's injury. The woman is still resting and he allows his son to finish the task. The boy has never seen a woman before and starts to study her with interest but does nothing beyond that. Again, Gabby has a strange vision of plants emerging from her body. She soon awakens frightened, but she is alone in the cabin as father and son have gone hunting. Gabby tries to contact Winston. He answers, stating his name, and she asks his location. But the man seems disoriented, saying bizarre things which worries Gabby further. While Gabby builds a fire for warmth, Baron hunts with his son and succeeds in killing a wild boar. As he nears the kill, he smears some of the animal's blood on his son and asks Mother Nature for forgiveness for the action. As they perform their unusual rituals, they smell smoke. Gabby, in the cabin, has started a small fire to be found. Baron enters the cabin angrily and states that no fires are permitted during daylight. Gabby replies that it was so her partner could locate her by the smoke. Baron says he would have found him already as the two have radios for communication. She tells the man she is concerned for her friend because she heard odd noises earlier, but he dismisses it and says he will return her later. That night, Baron continues tending to Gabby's wound while she tries to communicate with Winston, but gets no answer. Gabby gives up on contacting him and starts a conversation with Baron, saying his son should be in school, not residing in the jungle. Baron answers that he is learning what is essential. Gabby also asks where his mother is, and the man replies that he lost his wife to bone cancer 13 years prior. Gabby offers her condolences, but he remarks that it is merely life, and she inquires what he did before coming here. He says he was a scientist and a phytopathologist, and that after Lily died, everything changed. His wife was a chemical engineer. Stefan gives a necklace to Gabby and Baron says it is a gift so she will remember them. The woman thanks him but finds everything very peculiar. We now see Winston's lifeless body covered by mushrooms and plants identical to Gabby's dream. In the cabin, Gabby has that same dream again. Only now the plant starts to enter her mouth. Baron quickly rouses her but covers her mouth because the entity is lurking outside the cabin. Stefan takes his bow as the being attempts to break in. Baron asks if Gabby can remain silent, and she affirms she can. The entity is trying to force entry at any cost. Baron warns that if they get inside, she must not move because these entities are blind. She starts to apply a liquid over her body while father and son prepare to confront the monster. Gabby is nearly attacked, but Baron acts swiftly and shields her. One of the humanoid entities manages to get inside, but Stefan shoots it, forcing it to withdraw. The respite is brief as another appears and tries to assault Baron. As he said before, they simply must remain motionless because these entities are blind. They make slight movements, but Gabby creates noise, attracting the entity's attention. Stefan comes to aid, attacking repeatedly. Father and son battle together until they force the entity out, and Baron swiftly secures the door. Seeing that Gabby is covered in the being's blood, Stefan quickly removes his clothes, puzzling the woman. Baron asks her to trust them, and Stefan begins to clean Gabby. Baron realizes he was hurt, and Gabby feels ill and collapses. Later, Baron explains that those beings are humanoid fungi, that they favor humans and consume the entire body. Even with the explanation, Gabby asks what insanity he is talking about. Baron says that essentially it is the planet's largest organism, living beneath them. He explains that these entities are older than all of human history and are prepared to spread. Gabby asks if this is the god he mentioned earlier, but Baron comments that humans believe in worse things and that he is just another. Gabby asks if Stefan thinks like his father, but the boy replies, "It's time to sleep." The woman has another dream where she is in the forest. Someone appears behind her and touches her, but soon the fungus erupts on her neck, shocking her, and she wakes up. Stefan is beside her and calls her beautiful. She reacts positively and shows him her phone, taking a picture of the two of them and displaying other photos from her life. Stefan is captivated, but soon his father appears, calling Gabby a monster and ordering her to leave the house. Stefan and Baron decide to go elsewhere, while Gabby collects the pieces of her cell phone that Baron had broken and discovers a book with notes. Meanwhile, Baron makes an offering to his god, kneeling before a tree and looking inside where numerous fungi are growing. He places some blood inside the tree, extracts a fungus, and consumes it. He gives another to his son, and then examines his own wound, showing concern. Baron returns home and finds Gabby reading his journal. He also notices she is infected, which worries the woman, but he tells her to leave. Stefan seems to disagree with his father's decisions but remains silent. Soon knocking is heard, so Baron goes to investigate. As soon as his father leaves, Stefan looks for something to try to help Gabby, even licking the fungi on her arm and then embracing her. Gabby comforts the boy, promising she will always visit him. Baron returns to tell her it is time to go, and Gabby asks to take Stefan with her, but the father just laughs. As they walk, Gabby asks the man how they are not infected with that thing living below them. He replies that they are, and they continue until Gabby finds Winston's flashlight. She heads toward the humanoid fungi's lair, and Baron cautions that it is perilous, but Gabby ignores him. Reluctantly, Baron chooses to follow her. Gabby comes across a security camera and retrieves the memory card. They proceed a little further and discover Winston's body shrouded in fungi. Upon touching her friend's body, Gabby finds he is still alive. Winston begs to be killed, but Gabby refuses, saying she can get him to a hospital. Baron prepares to act, but Gabby stops him. She asks if there is any way to save him, but Baron only offers an arrow to Winston, who quickly chooses to die. Gabby's loud sobbing attracts more humanoid entities, and Baron urges her to hurry and leave. The two quickly return to the cabin and wake Stefan, who is delighted that Gabby did not depart. Baron secures all the cabin openings because more entities are approaching. That night, Gabby has another dream and wakes to find the fungi spreading. She tells Baron she knows he has medicine to suppress it, but he ignores her and exits. Gabby asks Stefan where his father went, and the boy answers that he went to pray. Using Baron's absence, she asks about the boy's mother, and he says he has few memories of her but that she lives in the forest now, which Gabby doesn't immediately comprehend. The boy says he will show her while Baron, praying, hears noises from the humanoid fungi and seems stunned. We see the same red light in the distance. Gabby tries to persuade Stefan to go with her, suggesting he could also become a ranger, and tries various arguments to take him, even mentioning there are many women for him. But Stefan recalls that his father said everyone will die soon. Shortly after, the man enters the cabin looking pale and terrified. The next day, Baron conducts his usual ritual with his son, giving him another mushroom, and Gabby's infection begins to spread more rapidly. Baron and Stefan return home, and Baron notices the boy is very eager to return. When Stefan arrives home, he kisses Gabby, but it was only to transfer the mushroom his father had given him. Baron says nothing and asks if she is ready to return to her life, but seeing the remedy is working, she says she wishes to stay. Baron says nothing and simply leaves. Stefan is thrilled with the news and decides to teach Gabby how to use the bow. He takes her to their sacred tree, the same one from her dream. Stefan and Gabby begin to distract Baron while she reassembles her phone from the gathered parts. Gabby manages to view the photos she took of him and the entities. During the conversation, Baron becomes agitated with her. Gabby says she wants to understand the religion Baron is so proud of, but this irritates him further. He changes his tone during the exchange, but decides to show the woman. Then he and his son make the preparations. Stefan applies red paint to Gabby's face, and Baron blows a magical powder into her face. Gabby quickly finds herself in another dimension, witnessing many things simultaneously. Awakens at the sacred tree and has many frightening visions, but this time wakes in the real world. She asks Baron where she was, and he says she was in the Temple of Dreams, adding that 4 hours had passed. The woman comments that it felt like months had passed, and Baron asks what she told him, but Gabby is left confused. She looks at Stefan and realizes that was also a dream, and Baron asks the same question he asked in the dream, wanting to know what that thing wants. We learn that the monster wants to reap the life of Baron's son, but the man lacks the courage to do it to his own child. Gabby and Stefan are more intimate than ever, sharing laughter while Baron remains contemplative about what to do. That night, Baron decides to go out to pray, and Gabby and Stefan attempt to escape, but encounter Baron on the path. Stefan's father says he doesn't understand why his son wants to leave because he always protected him. Gabby pulls a knife to try to halt the man's advance, but he continues walking. Baron says she will take Stefan to a life of slavery in the city, but Gabby retorts that he is just a madman. She says she obtained Baron's book and will expose him to the world. But as they are about to leave, Baron tells his son there is nothing for him to discover in that world. Baron claims that if Stefan abandons him now, his mother's sacrifice will have been for nothing. But Gabby says it was he who killed his wife. Baron replies that she chose to die there and reminds his son of their great journey, the pilgrimage they made together. The boy gives up on fleeing with Gabby and returns to his father. Gabby decides to leave while the two remain in the cabin, but along the way, she senses something and returns to observe them from a distance. Stefan asks where they are going and Baron replies they will make a sacrifice, seeming shaken by the prospect. Gabby goes to the cabin and takes a bow while father and son follow the path to the sacred tree. Stefan still doesn't understand as he sees no sacrifice with them, but his father just says that their God will provide, so they continue on the path. Gabby, trying to save Stefan, finds a humanoid fungus and hides behind a tree. Back with Baron, he explains to his son that God chose him and the preparations start. Baron strikes his son in the back while Gabby tries to evade the humanoids and manages to strike one. The boy, now aware of his father's intentions, tries to resist his fate, but the tree begins to seize him while Baron prepares to kill him. Just as he is about to do so, Gabby appears to help, but is quickly restrained by the branches, becoming trapped. Fortunately, she breaks free. She shoots an arrow at Baron, which has little effect, and he swiftly attacks. Stefan runs to help her, but Gabby is knocked unconscious and lies on the ground as a humanoid fungus approaches her. They come face to face, but Stefan runs to help his beloved. While he fights the monster, Baron drags Gabby by the hair to the tree. Stefan manages to kill the creature, and as Baron is about to kill Gabby, Stefan saves her in time and stabs his father in the back. Baron falls and tries to manipulate his son, saying it was only a test. But Gabby, seeing a creature is nearby, urges them to flee and leave Baron to die. The two return to the cabin, and while Gabby showers, she has another vision. The organism is trying to make contact with her, but she wakes up. She takes Baron's book and begins to read. Meanwhile, Baron fights not to become a humanoid fungus and tries everything for the tree to give him another chance, but it is futile, and he ends up being reinfected without the protective mushrooms. Gabby, already infected, is now slowly dying. Without the mushrooms to protect her, she asks Stefan to go see the world. Days later, we see the infection has worsened. She is nearly fully transformed into a humanoid fungus and asks Stefan to end her life, which he does. Stefan is now alone when the organism manifests itself more powerfully than ever, and he decides to follow his beloved's advice and leave that cursed forest. He is now in the big city, living a new life, still acclimating to all those novelties, but safe from all that madness. However, he does not realize that everything he touches becomes contaminated.